our interview set with Anthony Kiyaki, who is better known in the entertainment world as Bearance Bear, but he is also a hairstylist in North Central Florida. So we are, I'm starting to plan these things out a little bit more in advance. Mondays and Tuesdays usually are my favorite day to figure out who's going to be on the show that week. But as things are starting to kind of settle down a little bit in my life, and I'm getting a little more acclimated here in Chicagoland, it's getting a little bit easier to try to map things out and be a little bit more on the ball for all of these things. With that being said, I am super excited to have this guest on with me today. We have been introduced a couple of times over the last roughly year, and it's been fantastic. Every time, I always love re-meeting people because, spoiler alert to some of you who might know me, I have been known to have a cocktail or 12 and about another dozen shots. So a lot of times I don't remember when I meet somebody the first time. So it takes a couple of times for me to really get to know that person. But I'm pretty sure that the first time we met was here in Chicago, 4th of July weekend when I was up here promoting Bear Bust. We were introduced digitally again through a mutual friend, Jaden, Mr. Bear Bust 2019. And we just met again in person this past Sunday when we were both in Boys Town for the drag queen march for change that we both marched at. So I am super excited that he has agreed to be on the show, that he's going to come on and chat with us. And don't forget, I'm going to make sure that I remember to do this early this time. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to say to me or my guest during this next half hour or so that we're going to be chatting, feel free to leave a comment. All of the streams, my personal Facebook page, the Bears in the City Facebook page, and the Bears in the City YouTube channel where this is streaming to now, all of those comments come straight to me. So if you have any questions, ask. Go ahead. So without further ado, it is my pleasure and delight to bring this very handsome gentleman to the program and get to know more about him and what he does. So fine folks that are out there watching, please welcome Slade. Hey, Slade, how are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Pat the Bear.
How's it going? How are you doing out there today?
It is going well. I just got done watching some anime with my husband, and now I'm here.
Nice. What were you watching?
We were watching a DreamWorks series called Kipo. We just finished the second season of it.
Very nice. Very nice. Come on, nerdy bears. I love it. So Slade, I think I got it right that I think there was at least 3 different times that we've been introduced over the course of the last year. Right. Most recently being this past Sunday, right, which I was super happy to be down in Boys Town for this for that march. It was an amazing experience, and I'm glad that I got to see you and your family and be a part of all of that, because I don't always feel like I have an opportunity, especially moving here and being new to the city, right, to be able to be out there and to be part of the protests and to be part of the marches. So I've been doing a lot of more behind the scenes, more sharing, uplifting, elevating, signing petitions, making donations where I can. And if you're watching this, and I'll put this out here, I don't know if I tagged you in this or not. A friend of mine, BJ, had posted a link from I think the Chicago Times or something like that, that there are I think over 70 Black-owned eateries around Chicago that are doing Juneteenth, either a special, a meal, or some sort of like food option that's going to be $6.19 on Friday and possibly over the full weekend, I think.
Right.
And I'm putting it out there that the first 5 people, because honestly, I don't have a ton of money, I'm still, affected by COVID. The first 5 people that are in the Chicago area that get one of those specials, one per person. I want to try to spread it around. I don't need one person being like, I bought 5 things, which is great. You should. But for 5 different people, if you get one of those items and you send me in my DMs, just slide right into my DMs, send me a photo of your receipt and your Venmo or Cash App handle, and it's on me. So, I figure, hey, who doesn't enjoy food? Who doesn't want to help support Black-owned businesses? And it's a win-win for everybody.
Oh, I agree.
So if you know anybody that's out there for 5 people, I was thinking I was like 10, and then I was like, I don't know if I got over $60 that I can spare right now, but for at least 5 people, we'll go for at least 5 people.
Can I do a Woofbound scene with Pat? I'm reading comments. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. I always forget that my guests also can see the comments. I don't know, Eddie. We'll have to. Maybe we could talk about that. Now I'm going to start blushing. I'm going to get all red during this. So enough about me talking. Let's have you talk. Slade, why don't you tell? Well, first of all, I love your vest.
Thank you. Because
I am a nerd. And it took me a second, but then I was like, wait a minute. That's Blue Lantern Corps. Yes. What is blue? Is blue's hope? Okay. I was gonna say hope. I'm not a big DC person, but I do know a few things. So that's awesome. No so why don't you tell our viewers who are out there what like who you are and what you do and what affiliations you have in the Chicago area and beyond?
My name is Slade. I am born in Mississippi, but raised back and forth from Illinois and there. I came up in kink at a very young age with my girlfriend because she was kinky and I was just nerd. And I learned bondage and other kink skills in Tokyo, Japan, because that was our graduation gift from both our parents, where I was going there for like sumo wrestlers, Japanese pro wrestlers, the anime, the video games and stuff like that. And she's over here like, let's get kinky. So I'm like,
all right,
okay. So I learned how to do shibari at this Japanese bar called The Gate, which sadly is no longer there, that I was told. They probably started back up. Honestly, I have not looked at it since then when I was told it was closed, where I learned, I would say 75% of my kink skills that I know now in Japan. And I also got to work on a Japanese porn set because she wanted me to improve my bondage and stuff like that. So that's where I went to do all that stuff. Granted, I do suspension and all the other art stuff I can, but I am no expert when it comes to Japanese shibari because this is their thing and they're ruling that. And overall, I'm married to a wonderful man. We've been together for almost 7 years. I'm partner to a cub who is my husband's boy, but my partner for going on 4 years. And we have a female partner who I've known forever. And she's my husband's slave. So there's that little dynamic of our family. I work at a bank here in Chicago. Other than that, I mean, like, besides being kinky and stuff like that, I'm just a geek.
Nothing wrong with that. No. Nothing wrong with that. So what was the impetus for your evolution? I guess is probably the best term for it, to go from kind of starting to deal with kink to then take it to, I don't even want to say the next level, because I'm sure that there were quite a few levels between starting and getting to Woofbound. But how was that journey to go from learning the ways of kink to then take it to something that you wanted to kind of do a whole, like, really just make it something that you wanted to share with the world?
Well, growing up in kink was really not hard. Now, granted, learning the skills were hard. That was very painful because you had to get it right. And of course, the rule is don't do something to others that you're not willing to have done to you. And trust me, I had it done to me in order to experience for others. But how Woofbound came about, honestly, Woofbound is honestly a spin-off of a website called bearbound.com, which sadly is no longer around. I was a fan of that site. Master Dart and a few other guys decided to get together and make this site, and I'm a bear lover, so
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell by meeting your family.
You saw my partner, my husband. Yeah. So I'm a bear lover, but he had this site that I was fascinated with, and with that site, I've met a lot of faces on there that was kind of popular a little bit before. A guy named Jim Grau. His name is he goes by Jim Gag Bear Grau. He's done regular bear films. He had his own website for all his porn and kink needs and everything. He has an X2 channel, so he does like various things. And I come to find out, because of my bondage and everything, that he was a fan of mine. So he followed me everywhere. And when I found out he was on Bearbound, of course I was fascinated with that because I just wanted to see this man tied up. And then there was another one, then another one, then it was on repeat. So I was just like, wow, I might have an addiction to this site because this site is fantastic. And it was more so that you didn't see that. I mean, you had like bear porn sites, like Bear Films, Stocky News, and whatnot, but you did not have a bear bondage website like Bearbound. Like, it was nothing like Bearbound. And I enjoyed that site for a good amount of years until it went away, because the owners have their own lives. So, and I can understand that, like, you can do something for so long, but then other callings come and you want to take up that, So after they went away, all the tears were rolling down my face because there is no more bear bondage and all that fun stuff. On Tumblr, rest in peace, people will post little clips or videos, pictures, whatever, of Bearbound. And, it was always going with how they missed the site, how they wish the site would come back, and things like that. And I'm over here thinking to myself, make the site. I will gladly pay for a membership for the site. If someone is taking the time to do it, I'll pay for a membership just to support. But it just went like, I want to say 5 to 6 years with no one making a site. And I would talk to Jim because I knew Jim and various other models from Bearbound, and I would just talk to them, and I met some of them, and we'd done our kink things and bondage and stuff like that, so we had our good time. And I remember I used to fuss at Jim all the time. I would just fuss. I was like, I wish someone would just stop complaining and just make the site. If they make the site, I'll pay for it. I'll advertise it, all this stuff, because we need more body positivity sites like that out there. And he then just kind of looked at me as we're Skyping, and he's like, why don't you just make the site? And I sat there and I was like, okay. I don't know how to go about doing this, but okay. But at that time, I was working for us, and I still do work for a site called boundguys.com. So it has, so I was learning how to make my site from there. And the trial and error was trying to make it from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. So I try to use WordPress. I have a tech guy. His name is Dalton. He's a adorable cub who lives in Michigan, who's helped me from the beginning of my websites. Like every time something went wrong, I'm like, "Are you awake?" It could be 3 in the morning, and I'm like, "Are you awake? I need you to fix this. I don't know what I pressed. I don't know what I did, but I need you to fix this." So, and he's never complained. He's always been so gracious to just fix the problem for me and just kind of just smiles at me and keep going. So as we try to get Woofbound together on WordPress, we thought that on the first try, like, we got it. Because it's going to be like this custom, it's going to be this awesome site. It's going to be simple too, because, a site can be great, but if it's not simple for people to like follow, people lose interest. People would like, oh, no, that is just too much going on. So, but it was awesome and simple at the same time. So that way people can enjoy. Well, to make money off the site, you need to have a merchant account, and you have to go through. There are various merchant accounts that various websites use, from CC Bill, and honestly, CC Epeco, I think that's one of them, because there's a site that calls Eye of the Cyclone. They uses that merchant account, but there's various merchants account. So that was a challenge, because while I'm making this site, they require you to have content already so they can view it to make sure it is ready for show, because they have a lot of guidelines. And I think those guidelines came into place after Bush was in office. There were certain rules about gay sites that they just didn't want. And the credit cards merchant accounts was like very on point with their rules. So if they saw anything that they didn't like, you weren't done. They were just like, try again kind of deal. Yeah. So lucky for me, I did have stuff that was for view, and they approved it, and it was ready to pass. So we are getting to the point, and it really felt like I got it. Like I was like, I have it on a first try. I'm going to make something good of this, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the credit card things, was there, but not there. So for people who use things like MasterCard, Visa, Discovery, and stuff like that, you have to put $1,000 down, like right on the spot, to use major credit cards. So that even requires the gift cards that are Visa, MasterCards, and whatnot. So you had to be able to put $1,000 down to be able to make transactions for those kind of credit cards. So of course now I'm in this funk, because I was so close, and like right there on the spot, it was just like I couldn't do it. And at that time, I mean, could I put $1,000 down? Yeah, I could have. But at the same time, that would have screwed me up for my year of when I travel and everything. So I'm like, no, I'm not willing to risk that. So I guess it's just never going to happen. A few days went by, and my friend Rich, who is the owner of Bound Guys, was saying, why don't you use the server I'm using, which is Xability? I'll recommend you talk to them, and they'll set you up with ease. Well, they did. And honestly, it was quicker than me trying to make the site from scratch, which made it funny. It wasn't the same thing. They were like, please show me what you have so we can view it and forgo. Did the same thing, did the whole thing over. And when it was like, okay, everything is approved, honestly, I was sitting up there like, okay, so how much to use major credit cards and stuff like that? And of course, out of nowhere, they were like, oh no, that's included into this package. We charge a percentage, but then that is including the package. So I was like, okay, great. So now this is where it becomes tricky, because, I am nowhere near wealthy, rich, or anything like that. But I made this site for people to enjoy because everybody was wanting a bear bondage site. So I said to myself, like, well, I'm going to do something good with the money. So I'm associate with in Chicago, the Windy City, Illinois Windy City Superior Court. I don't know if you ever heard of them. So there are various court organizations throughout the world that they have emperors and empresses, princess and princes, and stuff like that, and more. And one of their organizations was Paul's Pets. And I am a big time animal lover. I had cats, I had dogs, I had ferrets, I had a parakeet. I mean, I had like various animals growing up. And this, while I have no animals right now, I can go to some of these shelters, and of course, it gets me my little fix to play with the animals and stuff like that because it just feels right. But the shelter I was in was a kill shelter. And I remember what I had to go through because when I lived in Schaumburg, I worked at a kill shelter. They do killing, they do the euthanization there. And I remember because I was helping training the dogs who needed rehabilitation if they were either too aggressive to humans or too frightened of them because of how they were treated. So my job was to work with them and everything. And it sucks because the ones that you couldn't help, more so the aggressive ones, they had to be put down. And I remember what made me quit this shelter was them trying to teach me how to euthanize a dog. And I remember I just couldn't do it.
I don't blame you. I don't think I would be able to do that at all.
And it kind of sucks in a way because, you know, as a kid, one of my dreams was to be a vet and everything. And of course, I knew the realization of what comes with being a vet. And truthfully, I'm like really attached to animals. So to lose one or to have to do something like this is heartbreaking. And I can imagine what it does to the owners. But like for someone like me, I'm like, this is tough. So I quit that place because I just couldn't do it. And I told them I would never do anything like that, to visiting animal shelters and seeing out which one don't do the euthanization. And I know around here in Rogers Park in Chicago, we have Felines and Canines that does it. And the other organization through the Imperial Court was Paul's Pets that I love to donate to. And I always made sure that when we announced them that everyone know that this is a no-kill shelter. So because you want that, you know, for those who support kind of things like that. And my motto was always to believe, to give our furry friends a fighting chance to find a home. Because it sucks when the animals are dropped off at a whatever area and of a shelter, I should say, and some people will make a post that says, you know, this dog or cat needs to be adopted, someone adopted, otherwise they have to put them down. And you know, that sucks, you know, because there's nothing wrong with them and they're being put to death because nobody wants them. So,
and especially the ones where it's no reason other than a family outgrew them, or they wanted a puppy but weren't ready to deal with having a dog, you know, for the long haul. And that's ridiculous. And I put up a little banner at the bottom. You see, there it goes, bro. Yeah, I'm only half the screen. So if you want to check them out and donate directly, go to pawschicago.org. and I mean, honestly, that one of the things that impressed me the most was when I found out that that this goes to supporting a cause like this. Like, that melted my heart, because I am a pet owner. I have two dogs. In the divorce, we split up the dogs. So my ex has my little girl over just north of Seattle, and I've got my little boy, who is my little boy. He's going to be 6 in September, and he's 70 pounds. Little is relative, but he's here with me, and he was my first dog that I've ever owned. Like, that's, so it kills me to see those posts about, okay, this dog has been here, was dropped off, the family didn't want to take care of them, or whatever the case is. And what warms my heart to those stories is when I see people rally around and share, and seeing those things go viral, and somebody coming and adopting that dog. But in a perfect world, you don't have to have those things go viral. You don't need everybody to be like, hey, somebody help this dog. This is through no fault of its own, is it sitting here, waiting to be adopted and on a ticking clock. So that's I applaud that work, sir. I absolutely do, and I love that. So if you're watching, check out pawschicago.org, or if you're not in the Chicago area, research no-kill shelters in your area and volunteer, donate, because that's how they're able to continue doing that work. So
it's not easy. It's not easy at all, because the animals don't know any better. They don't know what's going on. It's no fault of their own, except for those who raise them.
Yep.
And you can't. The animals are as good as their owners, as we used to say. So how you train them, how you raise them, depends on you. They're like children. They mock what they see. So
absolutely, which is why my puppy pees all over the place, because I just sorry, it was getting too heavy, and I was going to start crying.
No worries.
I do want to say hi to Edward, who's watching. Christopher Hall, talking about you lying and having all those bears as pets. and there's just comment after comment about doing scenes at Woofbound with me. So I'm not going to get embarrassed right now. I don't want to turn any more red than I am normally. I'm just going to say it's the shirt that's just bouncing off of my face. I'm not blushing. I promise. And it's funny that you say, like, don't do to someone else what you don't want done to you, which is probably why I haven't been involved in kink all that much, because I'm like, you know what? I don't really feel like having that. Maybe not. It's funny because I over the last 6 or 7 years, I've been running bears in the city for 8 years now, and over the last 7-ish, I have been running bear events, and over the last couple of years have been helping to organize the leather and fetish events at Parliament House. And now that I've moved, obviously I have people that are taking over those responsibilities. And we'll see how that all goes over the next couple of months, especially with how the case numbers in Florida are going a little nutty down there. So, we're not going to get into that. I have very strong opinions about all of that.
My husband, being from Florida, has very strong opinions about it.
Yeah, I mean, legit. We're the middle of June, so I've been up here for 2.5 months, and I thank my lucky stars, and I get so worried for everybody that I care about in Florida. And I'm like, please just be safe.
Yeah.
And the hardest part about this pandemic and this virus is you can take as many precautions as you want to, but if other people aren't doing it, that just increases your risk unless you are staying inside of your house the majority of the time. So
right,
just crazy. There's my little sermon about COVID for today. But but it's very interesting because it's not been something that was part of kind of my sexual upbringing. Even though, and I say this all the time, I grew up in an Eagle. You know, I went from the Long Island Eagle, which really was more just a glorified bar that had the Eagle name attached to it on the outside. And then as I kind of grew up a little bit more and became more attuned to being a gay man, I was then kind of brought to the New York City Eagle, and I grew up there. That was my home bar, and yet it was still something that was so like outside of my view, my periphery, that it was all there, but it was just never something that was like, hey, maybe you should get into this. So the more that I'm seeing it now, the more that I'm being involved with it. Like, now mind you, I've got some leather. I enjoy some leather pieces, you know, but there is such a plethora of different things and ways, and just it's kind of amazing to see how that whole thing, like how that world of kink and fetish just expands and goes beyond so many different things, like so many boundaries and so many different like thought processes. How has running Woofbound elevated and changed your world of kink? Like, is it something that's helped to heighten and expand it? Is it, or as you grow, does that help you to expand Woofbound and kind of the different scenes that are produced and put out there for the world to consume?
So I don't know. Honestly, I did something that I knew that a lot of people were asking for. I enjoyed the fact that I get to do this, that I get to put on these scenes, and I get to work with various of hot guys for Woofbound. That helps me out with this. And and to be truthful, I do everything that I can to promote the models. Not, I don't think, I wouldn't say in a sense of bragging about who I have, because I know some sites will brag about that they got this guy on there, so check them out and stuff like that. I don't do that because when you talk about things like body positivity and stuff like that, we are in a world where everyone don't like how they look. You know, it's that we look in the mirror, we always find something that we don't like, we want to change and whatnot. So me bringing this to light for, like, I'm looking at all the guys who are commenting, 3 of them will have never have done this had I not talked to them, built them up, and encouraged them to, you know, that sexiness comes in all forms. So I felt good of being able to do that and being able to brag about them, and in a way of lifting them up and giving them a big social media platform so people can see them. And when I pull up my camera and take the pictures and videos, it's me trying to show everyone who views Woofbound of why these guys are sexy through my eyes, you know? So, I mean, and to be honest with you, and yes, I'm going to give this little secret away. They really, I mean, the guys are great to work with, and they really don't have to really do much. Their job is to show how hot they look in bondage. Okay, there are some improv and stuff like that because we do look, because it's not a porn. Okay, you don't see, you know, the triple X stuff. It's an erotic fantasy, so it's more role play and bondage and stuff like that. Because I've learned over the years that a lot of people like that. You know, it was over a course, over some times of the year, people loved the whole role playing thing. Then it kind of took a break. Then now it's back to it. So, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it sticks. But I believe that it, you know, it just makes me feel proud of what I'm doing, in a sense of I can brag about this person to build them up and get them out of their comfort zone to make them feel good about themselves. Because, you know, in reality, don't we all deserve to feel good about ourselves? So, yeah. So this was what I thought I was doing to promote body positivity, of showing that not everyone has to look like a twink. Not everyone has to look like some kind of Adonis model or Apollo, with all the ripped ads. They can be a average Joe and be the sexiest person that walks past you. Okay.
Absolutely.
And for me, that would happen to be bears. So
I won't lie though, when you said that there is a little bit of improv, I'm just imagining a bear that is tied up and then having to basically compete on whose line is it anyway. If you film that scene, please let me know, because I want to be there.
So one thing I do like about me doing this site and being more pushing it out there, because I get to hear from the fans and the viewers who are models for the site, their followers that would email me because they want little scenario scenes done, and they're pretty much giving me ideas that they want to see, so I try to make it happen as best as possible. So that's always nice to get those kind of fan mails, things like that. I don't know. I mean, I saw something like, okay, I can use my kink skills to raise money.
Sorry. Come on, Moody Bear. Yes.
Oh God. So Moody Bear little sidetrack. Moody Bear
I love it.
Is actually going to be one of my models.
Oh, awesome. I love it.
Because majority of those guys, well, all of them, except for Moody Bear, are my models.
Oh, I love it.
And like I said, 3 of them would have never done this until I talked them into, until I talked to them. That was just, building them up, because they're hot men who need to feel like they're a hot man.
No, and that's fantastic. People need that. You've said it all already, but we are in a world where people don't feel valued because they don't feel that they're attractive. And it's people like you who have taken and are chipping away at that, even if it's just a little bit, and putting it out there for people to be able to feel that way. So that's fantastic. I mean, that's an amazing thing. And I've heard that about you, Moody Bear, that you are shy.
So Moody Bear is the only guy that I know that will turn into a cherry if you give him a compliment.
I don't doubt it. Although it's hysterical because I don't think he's done them in a while, but we're Facebook friends, and he's actually good friends with people that I'm close with. Paul Middleton, who's a dear friend of mine, who's a singer. He actually, when he came to Bear Bust, the event that I run, the yearly event that I run in Orlando, he actually brought me one of Moody Bear's shirts because I had fallen in love with it, and he got it for me and brought it with him so that I didn't have to pay for shipping from overseas here. Because if you don't know, Moody Bear does a bunch of, and I'm sure you do because you know him, but for those out there watching, if you are a nerd and you're into comic characters, Moody Bear does a bunch of bear versions of superheroes. And my favorite so far is the Archangel Bear. It has silver metallic wings, and I fell in love with that shirt. So Paul made sure that he got it for me and then brought it stateside. And I still have to get in touch with him about doing the Phoenix Bear in my custom colors for the black and red. But We'll get there. We'll get there.
And if you go to woofbound.com in the links section, you will see Moody Bear's site on there that you can just instantly click and boom. So, and follow.
I absolutely love it. So, this conversation has been fantastic, and I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask this question, and then you keep talking, and then I think of another one, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what was my first question? What was going on? So, like, as my brain is processing everything, I'm trying to remember to ask. So, with something like Woofbound and doing this, do you take this kind of idea and do any of the we'll call them the circuit of events and do stuff like this and do bondage classes or bondage scenes at events that take place either around the Illinois area or further away, depending on where the event is?
So I don't know if you're aware of North American Bear.
Oh my God, that's the name of it. We were just talking about this. Maybe it was last Thursday when we were having the conversation. I was having a conversation live, and we'd mentioned World Bear Weekend. Oh yeah, it was last Thursday when I was talking to Jody from Bearskin, and he had mentioned World Bear Weekend, and we're like, he does another event, and I know it's Valentine's Day weekend. I know like everything about it, and we could not, for the life of us, put our finger on the name. North American Bear, NAB. Okay. Yeah, so I have heard of NAB.
Okay. So North American Bear, I was a surprise judge, but I also was there for filming Woofbound. So I also film Woofbound at IML here in Illinois. I'm in Cleveland every year for Claw. I'm filming there. And sadly, because due to COVID, and a lot of the events were canceling, I was working with the producer of North American Bear and World Bear to make a World Bear Woofbound movie.
Oh, all right.
So,
and World Bear was supposed to be here in Chicago this year. That's right. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to travel for it.
No, so it's supposed to be here. So the idea was to kind of, while it is a all-male site, doesn't mean that there can't be some female aspect to it. And what that mean is, because it's a bear site, so you have bears, cubs, chubs, but you also have mama bears. So the idea of the Woofbound movie for World Bear was to use mama bears in the storyline.
All right.
To give that mother bear feeling, but at the same time, that kink feeling for men to enjoy. I mean, I even have that I know of from North American Bear 4 females that have memberships to Woofbound.
That's awesome. And that's one of the things that I'm actually pretty impressed with overall in the kink and fetish world, is that a lot of it tends to supersede standard gender, and you see a lot of blending and blurring on all sides. So that's fantastic. And Moody Bear is going all shy now. Let me see you. Oh, what I was going to say is I haven't seen him do his naked tea dancing on Facebook lately.
Oh,
it's been a while. So with that being said, actually, and that's kind of awesome to hear that you do travel for a lot of these events, because if you didn't know, and I mean, I just mentioned it before, but I still do. I am the organizer for Bear Bus, which is supposed to celebrate its 30th anniversary this year. As COVID is spiking in Central Florida, especially now. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. We may need to do some sort of digital fest this year and try to. I'm of the mindset of, I don't care if it's the 31st year. I'm still going to celebrate the 30th anniversary the next time that we can. I
Right.
don't care. That's a big anniversary, and we'll celebrate no matter what. So,
There you go.
but yeah, I think it would be awesome to talk to you in more detail off of a show like this and get something like that involved.
Well, North American Bear is, as we were talking about, they're also in the link of Woofbound. So there you go. We believe in, so I also believe in supporting bear organizations like Bear Bus and stuff like that. Sadly, Jayton didn't give me all the info that I needed. And now that I talked to you, we'll figure that out to add you to the link family of Woofbound. But so, yeah, all the bear events, we always want to make sure that the world knows about, whether if it's in the States or out of the country, to get people clicking and following. So we want to promote bear events because they're always heavily advertised and everything. But just in case, like you who don't remember North American Bear, you can click on Woofbound, click on the links, and then there you go.
Absolutely, and I feel the same way. Like, for as big as we feel that our community is, it's not, and our voices don't always travel everywhere that they need to. So why not? It takes little to no effort to help support and uplift another event. I am very much of the mindset of there's plenty of room at the table.
Yep.
There's no reason that because I organize an event that I can't talk about and promote and want to go to your event. The only time that I wouldn't be able to go to an event is if it's the same time that I'm running my own event. But outside of that, it's a big ass country. And, if I'm running something in Florida and there's something going on in Seattle, Washington, unless you're doing something down the street from me, there's no reason why I'd be upset that there's another event going on.
Right.
So, and I've worked with plenty of people, and we'll talk and we'll get all that info and we'll cross promote and we'll do all of that fun stuff. So we're going a little longer than I had expected. And this is how this always goes. I'm always like, 30-ish minutes. And then it's like 50 minutes later and we're like still talking. But these conversations, honestly, over the last few weeks that I've been doing this have been so entertaining, so much fun, so much knowledge to take in for different people in different businesses and different aspects of just everything that I always hate being like, all right, well, it's time for us to stop talking now. So before we do anything else, before we go to wrap this up, do you have anything coming up, anything in particular? I mean, I know in the world of COVID, obviously, I'm sure that scenes are not being filmed. But do you have anything personally or anything for your family that you want to put out there, promote, or something that you think people should be aware of?
I mean, everyone should look at the no-kill shelters as an option if they want to adopt pets. Not to say never to try to take away businesses from other animal shelters, but every day these kind of shelters, the no-kill shelters, get packed with animals, and there's something for everyone there, and they just have to look.
Absolutely. And I put the banner back up on the screen. If you are in the Chicago area, check out pawschicago.org. If you are not in the Chicago area, search for no-kill shelters. I think in Orlando, Judy's Pet Rescue, I think is one of the ones that friends and former coworkers have supported. And there's a lot out there. And honestly, go check them out and go help an animal that needs help.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things. If you are ready to get your bondage on in the voyeuristic segment of the internet, check out woofbound.com. How much do memberships run on Woofbound?
So I made sure that anyone who's got a membership on the site knows that memberships can cost ridiculous amount. Going from $19 to $50, and that's just for a month. That's not saying for a year or anything like that or whatever. That's just for 1 month, and that's kind of high, right? Woofbound costs less than $10 for a month membership.
There you go.
Made it as cheap as possible, where I made it where it's profitable as possible to be able to donate.
That's phenomenal. And I mean, honestly, I've seen some people, I've seen some OnlyFans that have been quite pricey when they're putting up clips and dick pictures all over the place on Twitter for free. And I'm like, I'm not paying that much money to see your dick pics when they're right here on your Twitter account. So
right.
I'm just putting that out there.
I mean, like, is your dick making a cocktail or something? Then I'm interested. Then I'm invested. But other than that,
oh my God, that makes me think of it's an old Margaret Cho skit where she talks about being I think it was in Hong Kong or something like that, and she's talking about going down the street and like the sex shows and having the people outside trying to get people to come in, and it's like, you know, pussy write letter. Like, what kind of letter is pussy gonna write? It's like, pussy play ping pong. You know, so yeah, unless you're giving me that, I'm not spending that much money to see your dick, which I've already seen. That's just how it's going to be. Well, Slade, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. Thank you to everybody that's been watching. Thank you to those of you in the comments who have made me go all sorts of red, talking about wanting to do a scene with me. I don't know if I'm at that point yet, but you never know. If you need a photographer, Slade, let's, you know, I am okay with a camera.
Don't worry.
And actually, it was so much fun on Sunday. Like, it was such an important and very like focused thing, but at the same time, I loved getting out there and having my camera. It made me feel so much normalcy back into my life after the move and with COVID and everything, and to help document that point in time and that bit of history with that drag march. If you haven't seen them, if you're on my Facebook page, I know you are, Slade, but I posted the pictures today as like 175 or so pictures, and a couple of panoramas just to get a feel for how many people were there.
Yep.
The majority with masks on.
We see you.
If we can do it, the rest of y'all can do it as well. And in Orlando, starting on Saturday, it's going to be required. Just saying. But I just love this name, the Sprinkle Bear. I think that's my favorite name out of the comments so far.
Oh, Sprinkle Bear is your North American 2020 bear for North American Bear.
Oh, all right.
So I was his judge.
I love it.
He filmed with me 2 years ago when Woofbound was starting at the first World Bear.
That's awesome. Well, hello, Sprinkle Bear. Congratulations. And
that is his stage name on Woofbound.
I love it. I fucking love it. What's up, Brandon? Yes, your Florida and Chicago worlds are colliding while they're in Chicago. Brandon moved back to Florida. I moved to Chicago. It's like it's an Illinois-Florida exchange program.
It happens.
And my favorite comment of the day.
Ha!
That might actually get me to agree to it. I will just put that out there. And now I'm going to turn red. So.
There you go.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back next Thursday night. I'm going to keep this going as long as I can, while I am completely unemployed, depending on how long this whole thing goes.
Yeah.
But next Thursday night, Anthony Kiyoki from North Central Florida. You may know him as Beronce Bear.
Love it.
Yeah, the National Bearded Empress Emeritus Pensée. I'm pretty sure I got that one right.
Okay.
He'll be joining us next week. Again, visit woofbound.com to get your bear bondage needs met, and support no-kill animal shelters like pawschicago.org, which if you go and support Woofbound, you're supporting Paw Chicago as well. So do a little good, continue to make change out there. And until next time, thank you again, Slade. And
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all next time.